Welcome back. You're watching the Global Cycling Network with me, Simon Richardson.
Welcome to the GCN show.
Coming up this week, the UCI's latest mistake is a big one, overshadowing a much improved Gravel World Championships. We dive into the highs and the lows from last week.
We have also got a brand new bike from BMC, a folding bike to rival Brompton, the hardest climb that pro cycling has ever seen, and why the French are swapping company cars for company bikes. This week in the world of cycling, we learned that it was Bring Your Dog to Work Day last week in the Netherlands.
Yeah, Tour de France winner Demi Vollering single-handedly won the internet by taking her dog out for a bike ride in a rucksack.
But who did it better? Demi Vollering or me?
Well, I don't know for certain who did it faster, Dan, but you definitely win dog most like its owner.
Oh, thank you very much.
Skinny, and particularly with that greying muzzle that you've got going on there.
Thank you very much, Si.
It's all right, mate.
We also learned that gravel bikes won the Gravel World Championships this year, as opposed to the road bikes that won it this time last year. Although neither of the winning gravel bikes, a Canyon and a Merida, are actually available to buy. At least not yet.
Not yet. No. Now, we also learned that the greatest ever sprinter, Mark Cavendish, is signing up for one more year after, of course, he agonisingly crashed out of the Tour de France, one stage win shy of taking that all-time record of stage wins.
Yeah, I think it was probably the worst kept secret in cycling, wasn't it, that he wasn't going to retire? Unless you believed, I guess, that he wanted to finish his career at the Tour of Turkey, which he is riding this week.
No, that's right. You know, apparently his kids told him to do one more year, which I think is a bit of a risky strategy.
Well, it is, because he could have been at home with them playing Lego and Minecraft and such like.
That's right, that's what mine would suggest.
Anyway, this time last year, the GCN show was entitled, Has the UCI Ruined Gravel? This was after the inaugural UCI Gravel World Championships in Italy, which featured so little in the way of gravel that most riders opted to use road bikes for the event.
Yeah. 12 months later, and now 2 World Championships in, what is the verdict?
Well, should we start with the improvements that the UCI made, which mainly centre around the course? A course that included so much gravel, the USA decided to send a full squad over to compete in Italy, rather than the sort of skeleton squad of 7 riders it sent over this time last year.
Yeah, and it was good, wasn't it? It had a bit of everything in it, didn't it? Steep climbs, river crossings, somebody's back garden.
Yes.
That was good. Narrow off-road cycle paths, some pretty technical descents, and quite a lot of gravel.
Yeah, was it key ingredient, isn't it?
Was there a lot of gravel?
There was enough, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, it gave me vibes of like the Belgian waffle ride over in the USA, that classic gravel race. So, definitely a marked improvement on last year's course. And you've got to hand it to the UCI because they actively sought a brand new location and organiser quite late in the day.
They did, yeah. By the way, we should probably clarify that the Belgian waffle ride is often run on road bikes, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think so. Like, it's a classic gravel race, but it's actually kind of not that gravelly either sometimes. Pretty sure it's one on a road bike.
Like, you're asking the wrong person.
Anyway, no one would doubt that that's a gravel race. Anyway, back to the organisers. Yeah. There is an issue though, isn't it, in finding a new organiser. Quite a major one cropped up.
Quite major, yes. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the course that we've just been describing until Sunday, even though the Women's World Championships had already taken place 24 hours earlier on the Saturday.
Mad, isn't it? Weirdly, it wasn't until Saturday that the UCI even appeared to be aware of the lack of TV coverage for the women's race. They put out a statement condemning the race organisers for the lack of parity after the race had started.
Apparently so. Now, obviously, the UCI is not a broadcaster or a TV production company, but then again, you would have thought that they'd have done a bit more investigative work. There's a bit of an oversight, wasn't it, to not know that one of your own races was not going to be broadcast because it is their own UCI World Championships after all.
And particularly given that our race rights team found out on Wednesday that there was no planned live coverage for the women's race, just that 10-minute highlights package that was included with the men's race.
Exactly, yes. So to say that that was a backward step, I think we can all agree is a little bit of an understatement.
Yes.
And now in their statement, the UCI said that it will be mandatory for the race organisers to provide parity in terms of live coverage from next year onwards, so 2024.
Well, I mean, that is at least a good thing, but it's kind of a little bit like covering their desperate mistakes. Anyway, since we didn't get to see the women's race live, let us give the winner her dues here and now and show the finish. This is Kasia Niewiadoma of Poland, taking what was her first win on any surface since 2019, and in fine style too. It does not get better than winning a world championship solo.
No.
So I'm told.
No, exactly, yes. Something to show her grandchildren, I think, or at least the highlights for 10 minutes that were produced. And
They probably wouldn't want to sit through anymore, though, would they?
Well, no, there is that with gravel, isn't there? I mean, even with the men's race, which was live, it was only for the last hour and a quarter or so of racing, and all the action really had already taken place by that point in the race, so we didn't get to see much of the action, why certain rides were dropped, etc., etc.
You know, I can see from the UCI's perspective how it happened, or I can imagine at least. It was not to defend the UCI, but you could sort of imagine the moment where they just assumed, I guess, that it was going to have TV coverage, and then the realisation very late in the day that it didn't must have just been an absolute...
Yeah, and it would have been that last-minute organiser who made the decision not to have live coverage of the women's race. And as for the lack of parity between the men and women for distance, and the fact that both are a little bit short compared to what many people describe as a real gravel race.
Yeah, I think when people describe real gravel races, they kind of mean American gravel, don't they? No, the distance thing, that's 100% down to the UCI, isn't it? They need to get that sorted. I'm not one for criticising the UCI generally. We like to poke fun at them a lot, but actually I think people are trying to do their best over there. But that's not cool. No excuses. And as for the course, well, like we said, that did look quite legit.
Legit. First legit of the show.
First legit of the show, yeah. Now, to answer the question from last week's show as to whether or not gravel riders were too slow for the Gravel World Championships, how did they actually get on?
Well, in the women's event, World Tour road riders filled the top 6 spots in the classification. Right. But I think we could say that 6th place Lauren Stevens was flying the flag for pure gravel riders because she's been pretty prolific in gravel events, high-profile gravel events in the USA.
A real
for the last
gravel
couple
event.
of years.
Who finished 7th?
I actually don't remember. Because I got down to 6th and I thought, Lauren Stevens, gravel rider.
Okay, I see, right, top 6, but Lawrence, okay. Only 7th was probably a roadie as well, wasn't it?
I think it probably was.
Yeah.
In the men's, I only had to go down to 5th.
Yeah.
Because Keegan Swenson of the USA went 1 place better than Lauren Stevens and finished 5th despite a crash quite early on in the race.
Yeah, a decent showing for him.
It was, very decent.
Interestingly, for a real gravel rider, he was using complete slick tyres.
Was he?
Yeah, there was an article on the GCN website about his bike, and he had total slicks on there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was quite the bike. You should go and check it out.
Statement in itself, isn't it? Euro Gravel World Championships are so easy. Just going to use slicks.
Yeah.
For this course.
He then did say post race that his slicks were why he fell off. But anyway, still, there we go. I was dead chuffed for him, it's got to be said. What, dare I say, happened to Wout van Aert?
Well, apparently he had a crash and a couple of mechanicals and they held him up for around 10 minutes. So if you look at his Strava file from the day, he finished 8 minutes down, 8.5 on Matej Mohoric, but he actually covered the course quicker than the winner in terms of moving time on the bike.
That is what's known in the business as time trialers logic. So Wout van Aert should really have won the World Championship. He is the theoretical winner because he was the fastest. It's just unfortunate that he crashed and had mechanical problems.
It's not on Strava, it didn't happen.
Well, exactly.
It was on Strava, so yeah.
So he's technically world champ. Brilliant.
He should have the rainbow jersey, really.
He is just not catching a break though, is he?
He's not catching a break this year, but that said, he has won 5 professional races. And I don't need to get any stats websites out to know that's more than you and I combined in our entire career. So it's not been that bad.
No, we definitely didn't catch a break.
We didn't catch a break. Or probably even get into one.
Didn't get into a break either, no. Right, should we go back to the Gravel World?
That is a very good idea, yes. Let's give it marks out of 10.
Oh, yeah?
Then I am going to give it a solid 8. We're ignoring the live coverage debacle, by the way.
Okay, yeah.
I thought the course was brilliant.
Yeah.
It almost made me want to get out on my own gravel bike.
Really?
And I thought the racing that we did see produced two very worthy winners in
Yeah.
Uvidome and Mohoric. Worthy gravel winners, I would say, as well.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's cool. I actually think the women's race sounded like an absolute belter. Didn't it? Absolutely brilliant. And particularly when you look at the calibre of the top 10, like, that's exciting. Demi Vollering, Cassia Nieuwiedoma, like, you know, Lorena Vibes.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. The men's race, when I tuned in, it wasn't the leading break I was expecting. I was kind of sat there going like, well, how did those three end up off the front? So it kind of lost a little bit of sheen there. But Mohoric, as you say, clearly a worthy winner. But oh boy, is he sketchy on a gravel bike. So there was this clip on GCN Racing's Instagram of him descending. He is going really fast down that hill, but he looks like a road rider on the edge, like really stiff, rather than someone that's got off-road riding in his DNA.
I would say basically he looked a bit like Hank on a gravel bike, didn't he? Very fast, but just one very small step away from stacking it.
Yeah, very small step, yeah. Now, speaking of off-road talent, we should say it was a bumper weekend of racing, wasn't it? Yep. Cyclocross racer turned mountain biker Puck Pieterse clinched the Women's Mountain Bike World Cup overall on a very gnarly course in Quebec. And roadie / cyclocrosser / mountain biker Tom Pidcock won the men's race, but mountain bike goat Nino Schurter clinched his gazillionth overall title.
Even though he only finished 14th in the final round. Actually, we had a comment last week from George SA about all of this. 2023 rewards crossovers, they say. On the men's side, a cyclocrosser won the Road Worlds, a roadie won the Mountain Bike Worlds, a ski jumper won the Giro d'Italia, and a fishmonger won the Tour de France.
Nice. Well, yeah, and now we can add a couple of roadies winning the Gravel Worlds,
yes, we
can't we? Anyway, we would love to know what you thought about the event. Did it do the Gravel World justice? And perhaps we should take out the live pictures debacle, because obviously that didn't. There's no debate there, is there? But what about the rest of it? Are you slightly softening as to the idea of Gravel World Champs? Let us know in the comments section down below.
The lack of coverage is an interesting one though, isn't it? Because as you pointed out, it sounded really exciting from the live updates, and it's some sort of bygone era, isn't it? You know, a lot of those historic Tour de France stages, I would imagine, would not have been particularly compelling to watch live from start to finish. No. And there was a bit of poetic license, I think, with the journalists who could effectively make things up at the time without being found out. But I often wonder whether those races and stages weren't quite as epic as we are led to believe some decades later.
Well, I mean, you're right, aren't you? Like, imagination is a very powerful thing, and that anticipation of like what might be happening that you don't know about. I don't know. I mean, it would be a tough sell to say no more TV coverage for bike racing. You just get to look at photos in the newspaper the next day. But I do see what you mean. Like, for gravel racing, much like Ironman, I guess.
I don't know. You get a bunch of cycling journalists together and see who can make up the best race.
You might be able to win.
What, the journalist competition?
No, as in actually racing. If they're making it up.
Well, if I'm writing my own story, I would have won a lot.
There should be more creative writing about cycling. No, there's only one novel as far as I'm aware.
But people are too afraid to, because they'll be just shot down on social media for inaccuracies of facts.
Well, yeah, okay, fair enough. All right. Anyway, we did digress, didn't we?
Well, we did. We also finished on Anyway together, so that seems a good place to stop.
And now it's time for Cycling Shorts.
Cycling Shorts now, and we will start with some tech news. BMC launched their latest road bike at Il Lombardia at the weekend. The Team Machine R, which is, according to BMC, one bike to rule them all.
Yes, this is the first road bike. A TT bike was released last month, of course, to come from their working collaboration with Red Bull Advanced Technologies, which is the engineering team responsible for Red Bull's F1 cars.
Yeah, so in BMC's eyes, it is the optimal blend of aero, lightweight, and power transfer. Power transfer, not stiffness, I noticed in the press release, There are no figures quoted on that aforementioned press release for how aero or how stiff it is, but I think I noticed this at the Tour de France, actually, when I caught a glimpse of Ben O'Connor's bike. There are some really innovative features on the bike, so it's going to be great to find out a little bit more in due course.
It will be, yeah. Although we do know the weight, don't we? 910 grams for the frame and 7 kilos for the entire bike. So it's light, isn't it, for an aero bike?
For an aero bike, yeah. Now, Alex has a video on the bike and the Red Bull Advanced Technologies collaboration coming up soon, so stay tuned for that one. Next up, from the sublime to the ridiculous now. seems a bit mean talking about folding bikes. It's ridiculous. But anyway, some people like them, some people not so much. Anyway, the folding bike manufacturer Brompton has potentially a new challenger which has full-sized wheels.
And that challenger is called Bastille, which is a French company. And when we say full-size wheel, we mean it. 27.5 inches. That does mean it doesn't fold up quite as small as a Brompton bike.
Their wheels don't fold, then?
No, they're not folding wheels.
Folding wheels.
The wheels remain
that
round. But the folding mechanisms are quite impressive nonetheless. It's not that big when fully folded.
Well, there you go then. Sticking with France, it looks like company cars there might be a thing of the past. So the country is embracing the company bike, with many companies having a fleet for employees to use.
Yes, one of those companies is called Coexia. They've got 120 bikes available to its employers. You do have to pay to rent them in some instances, apparently. They're about 35 euros a month, but then all maintenance is included with that price.
Okay. The movement is gathering so much momentum that a couple of startups are now providing bikes to companies so they don't have to deal with any of that themselves. It does seem like a great idea, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Do we know whether the bikes are any good?
I've got no idea, but I read a couple of reports of some very happy employees using them in shorter commutes to work.
I mean,
in city centres.
Well, yeah, like it's cool. Give someone a bike and they're undoubtedly going to be happy. But 35 euros a month, I'd want quite a good bike for that, I think. Do you not think?
35 euros a month doesn't sound like a huge amount compared to driving a car in and out every day to me.
Oh, well, I suppose. I don't know.
Anyway, at the end of the day, I think you're going to get a fitter, healthier and happier employees.
Well, they
aren't
would.
you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So here's hoping that we see something similar in other countries soon, at least from my part.
You basically say, stop being so grumpy and a cycling snob, Simon.
Right, sticking with one last French thing, we had a lot of comments last week saying that the revolutionary e-bike was called a pipe hop, not a peep hop.
Yes, so the logo is the Greek letter and mathematical symbol pi. However, remember, pi in French is P.
Is it?
Yep.
And you knew that, did you? You hadn't just not noticed that the logo was pi?
Well, I mean, I knew that it was P. So, yeah, no, I think we got away with that. Right, so we were right, basically.
Always.
Undoubtedly. Right, now moving to the UK now, and it was the short and steep Monsall Hill climb just over a week ago. The men's event was won by Andy Nichols in 1 minute and 20 seconds, but notably 3 minutes slower and finishing dead last was Brian Highgate.
Yes, Brian was racing in the over 50s category, but that does him a bit of an injustice, I think, because he was celebrating his 86th birthday just 3 days after the event, making the oldest ever to complete it. Twice my age.
Wow, there we
hope
go.
For me yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think you'd be able to get up.
Probably not, no. We're going to stick with old people now who are riding fast. Alejandro Valverde finished 4th at the Gravel Worlds, out-sprinting US hotshot and gravel king Keegan Swenson, no less.
Man, this was the sprint finish that I never knew I wanted to see. The world's canniest road rider versus the world's... I was trying to just think what to describe Keegan Swenson as. The world's coolest
most
rider?
legit.
Most
probably
legit
so.
rider, yeah.
I do wonder what Swenson was thinking, though, as he lined up for that final sprint. He's probably thinking, this guy's basically a pensioner. I've got him, or, oh God, it's Valverde.
Yeah, I reckon he was thinking, oh God, it's Valverde. You wouldn't underestimate that guy.
No.
In an article on the GCN website, Dan Benson said that despite retiring, Valverde has still ridden 26,000 kilometres this year.
26,000?
Yeah.
That's only a couple of K less than Wout van Aert.
Well, that's right, yeah. I reckon Valverde has probably won more races than Wout van Aert this year as well, to be fair.
Very controversial side.
It is a little bit, yeah.
Some record-breaking news now, and the very prestigious Pembroke to Great Yarmouth has tumbled
Wow.
in recent days.
The Pembroke to Great Yarmouth
Yes.
record. Is there such a thing? 2 random small towns in the UK?
Two random, I mean, I reckon there'll be 50,000 very angry people taking to the comments right now. Pembroke has a lovely castle, which dates back to the normal conquest of the 11th century, and Great Yarmouth has long been a tourist hotspot, as well you should know, Si.
Well, yeah.
But no, it does sound random, doesn't it? But it's the widest part of the UK, so 350 miles to be exact. But the reason I mention it is because Lee Williams of FTP Racing rode that 350 miles in just 14 hours.
14 hours?
An average speed of almost 40 kilometres per hour.
It's quite fast, isn't
Quite
it?
fast, isn't it?
Crikey. Lee Williams. That is very impressive. Presumably there was a howling tailwind that day.
Impressive nonetheless.
But still,
darling.
very impressive. Yeah, well done. Right, quick bit of... I wonder what the fastest, that's not far off world
fastest
record
12
pace, isn't
hour.
it? What's Christoph Strasser? Isn't it his 24-hour record is basically at 40k an hour, isn't
Something
it?
along those lines, yeah. But
Yeah.
not with a howling tailwind.
Because he did laps. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, quick bit of racing news now. And for those of you who haven't been watching the Racing News Show, I don't know why you wouldn't have been, but anyway, we'll quickly bring you up to speed.
Yeah,
won't we?
very quickly with bullet points. So, Jumbo-Visma and Soudal Quickstep were supposed to merge. Primoz Roglic jumped ship to Bora Hansgrohe. Patrick Lefevere, the manager of Soudal Quickstep, was apparently working on creating his own new team to give unemployed riders and staff a new home. And then Amazon jumped in to sponsor the new super team of Soudal Visma.
But then Amazon pulled out and the merger is now off. So a lot of news, most of which in the end did not happen. But it's probably not going to be the last we hear on that saga. So do keep your eyes on globalcyclingnetwork.com for future updates. I actually hadn't heard that bit about Lefevere was going to start his own team. So he was basically going to sell Quickstep, Soudal
Well, he's
Quickstep.
only a 20% owner of Soudal Quickstep. It's Bacala who's the billionaire, who's the 80% backer. So I don't think, reading between the lines, that Lefevere had anything to do really with these merger talks. I think it was pretty much behind his back.
I thought he was trying to cash in his pension or something.
I'm sure he would have done all right out of it. But I think he's also very loyal to his staff and his riders.
Oh, that's
Whatever
cool.
you say about him.
Well, I suppose we do say the odd thing
Yeah.
every now and then, don't we?
Well, certainly people do anyway.
We do, yeah.
Now, as we mentioned at the start of this GCN show, one piece of very good news from the racing world last week was that Mark Cavendish is going to continue into 2024. And it's there where he will attempt to take his Tour de France stage tally number to 35.
Yeah, this is as opposed to finishing his career at the Tour of Turkey this week.
Well, I'd have thought that that would be the last place where he would want to end his glittering career, given that today's stage went up the hardest climb that I have ever seen in a pro bike race. I mean, as we record this, I haven't yet seen it, but I have looked at the Strava profile.
It's harder than the Mortirolo,
Yep.
is it? And it's harder than the Zoncolan.
It's harder than both the Mortirolo and the Zoncolan.
Is it harder than the Mortirolo, the Zoncolan, and the Angler put together?
Not put together, but it's also harder than the Angler. It's longer and steeper than all of them.
Really?
If you didn't see it, make sure you catch up on that on GCN Plus on demand. Like I said, as we record this, it hasn't yet taken place, but I'm going to make a wild guess. There were some pretty big time gaps, a win for Jay Vine of UAE Team Emirates, and some very unhappy sprinters quite a long way down.
Yeah, one for the bucket list. Anyway,
Yeah, not mine though. It's full, my bucket list.
you've ticked them all off, have you?
All but one.
What's the one?
A muscle up.
What are you going to do when you've done that?
Just retire again.
Muscle up. A muscle up.
Next up, hack /Bodge of the week. And the first of the four this week comes in from Lewis Smith R, tubeless tyre install. Conti STR tyres would not bead even with a charge pump no matter what I tried. Sealed the sides with parcel tape and bang! Not literally.
Hopefully not, no.
Bang! Beaded first time.
Beaded. Beaded. Never heard of that word before. Seated, maybe. Seated it first time. That is an inspired hack because you don't get that very often anymore. Like tubeless rims and tyres are so good that they normally do just go up the normal track pump. But every now and then, one of them just does not want to go. But that is good. Ordinarily, I'd say just put an extra layer of rim tape on. That'll sort it out. But next time, I'm going to try that. Parcel tape.
I'm going to
Genius.
assume it's a hack from you then.
It is, yeah, totally.
Well, I don't know as much about these things as Si, but I'm going to say hack based on what he said, and 71% of you went with hack. on
There
that
you
one.
go. I reckon the 29 just don't like tubeless,
No, probably not.
basically. But,
What's wrong with an inner tube?
Well, exactly. Yeah, never had that problem within the tubes. And that's fair, to be fair, you don't have a problem generally pumping stuff up within the tubes.
No.
But, that's not the point, is it? Right, Russell Sissing next with his shoe repair. After a minor fall, my shoes were ripped, as it is the DMT KR1 model. I don't know why that's as it is but I guess it's because they're knitted, isn't it? So maybe that. I don't know, are they more scuff resistant? Probably digressing. Anyway, using colour-coded kinesiology tape for a pretty impressive repair. The tape adheres well and gets replaced after a shoe wash when required. There you go.
Close enough, isn't it, that colour?
It is pretty good, isn't it? Yeah. I mean,
I never like it when the person posting the hack or bodge already claims it's a pretty impressive repair. Basically saying hack for their own hack or bodge. But nevertheless, I'm going to say hack because you don't want to be chucking them out or just looking at a rip in your shoe, do you?
No, yeah, absolutely. In terms of, it's pretty darn neat, that. And I could live with it as well. Particularly, I like the fact that you sort of cut it into a nice oval there. That's quite pleasing, isn't it?
Well, the persuasive text within that hack or bodge did seem to persuade most people because 92% went with hack.
There you go.
Pole Sifter, new bike packing rig. Sat having a coffee at River Olio Bike Bar in ? And these two old roadies rocked up. One of them was sporting this aero bike packing rig. Looked like they were genuinely on a big trip and not returning from grocery shopping. I initially thought that was a golf cart.
Well, I mean, it's not far off a golf cart, is it? It's like a little trolley that you would put. I don't know. What would you have a trolley? It's like what old people carry around the shops.
Lorraine's got one of them.
Old people and Dan's wife.
Yeah, she's had it for quite a few years as well. It is generally just one of those things that you normally see older people using for ease as they go to the shops.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's a really good idea for young, sprightly people as well.
It is a lot easier than carrying carrier bags, I must admit. Anyway, back to this. I will go bodge.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't look terribly stable to me. It looks like you could get some serious speed wobble with that. I think because it's got two wheels, right? On a bike, you kind of... I mean, I suppose you do get two-wheeled trailers on bikes, don't you? No, maybe it's all right, mate.
You wouldn't want a kid's trailer on one wheel, would you?
No.
It'd be quite precarious.
Well, yeah, I suppose. Yeah, when you stop, it's like... yeah, okay. All right, yeah, fair enough.
I'm going... Yeah, I said bodge already.
I'm going to say bodge as well.
Okay. Well, a lot of people on the fence, or at least the results. 49% hack, 51% bodge.
All right, fair enough. Then last, Jacob Lilly, should we say? Crikey, made a bit of a hash. Anyway, manual stick shift, 80 Ks into a 200K Audax. My rear gear cable snapped, leaving me in the 11 and only able to change the front gear. I moved the derailleur up a couple more gears and wedged it into place, giving me an easier enough gear to tackle the 15% climbs en route to a bike shop 10 miles away. Cable replaced, I was able to continue my ride. The stick could be removed for faster or downhill sections. So there we go.
Was it worth the removal of stick for 10 miles? But little descents, presumably they weren't particularly long.
No.
Either way, that's a true roadside hack, isn't it?
It is,
Getting you either home or to somewhere where you can get your problem repaired.
Yeah. You know what, I always have a little chuckle. The amount of people that say like, oh, electronic group sets, they're like, the amount of snapped gear cables we have in hack or bodge. Like, I mean, it's not a perfect, system, is it?
Well, the mechanical gear cable.
Well, either, basically.
Like
anything is sort of like open to... I don't even know where I'm going with that.
No,
what am I trying to say?
Well, I think we should just get on to the voting. I'm going to go hack.
No, I'm not. I'm going to say bodge, actually. There are better ways of fudging a broken gear cable, as we've seen many times on hack or bodge, so I'm actually going to say no. I don't like that.
Well, only 31% of people are with Si on that, saying bodge. The rest went for hack. Don't forget you can get involved in this part of the show by uploading your hacks and or bodges to the GCN app.
It's time now for Caption Competition, that part of the show where you get a chance to get your hands on a GCN Elite water bottle. Someone said in the comments last week that it's a legit one. It is a legit GCN Elite water bottle.
Coveted, legit.
That's right. Yeah, all you got to do is put a witty caption in the comment section down below. We'll pick the funniest this time next week. We'll start the results, just to get you in the mood. This was the photo we gave you last week. Marta Cavalli with a giant piece of, we think it was mortadella, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Anyway, the winner this week is Matthew MG2995 saying, hamming it up on the podium after winning the race, Marta is proving once again she's no phony Bologna. Bologna. Doesn't quite work if you say Bologna, does it?
No, there you go.
Very good, Matthew. Get in touch with us with your address as a message on Facebook. We'll get a bottle sent out to you.
Strictly speaking, is mortadella a ham or sausage?
I have no idea.
think it might be a sausage, mightn't it?
Right.
Anyway, there we go. We'll let that slide, Matthew. We won't let facts get in the way of a good caption.
No.
Right, Dan.
Yeah, this week's photo is this one, which is Gage Hecht getting a baccy, presumably behind his mechanic or member of team staff.
Close
from,
personal friend.
Human Powered Health. I will get you started. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what you call a Chewbacca.
I don't understand that, mate.
It's why, like, Chewbacca's quite hairy, isn't he? And so is Gage Hecht.
Oh, I see.
He's getting a baccy.
There you go.
really
I like
pleased
that,
with
mate.
that
Chewbacca.
A Chewbacca.
Yeah, well, yeah, brilliant. Inspired.
Brilliant.
Have yourself a bowl.
Yeah.
Right, if you think you can better Dan's, or indeed just equal it, we'll take parity on that one. Then get involved in the comment section down below. We'll pick a winner next week.
I think that was so good, so I might have to just pick the one that was closest to as good as mine.
That's right. News just in, an important mortadella update. It is a sausage or a luncheon meat, but apparently we just learned it was banned from the United States for 40 years.
Yes. Unbelievable scenes.
Absolutely. I'm not sure how people in America lived.
It's a long
without
ban,
mortadella.
isn't it, that?
Yeah, 40 years. Goodness me. Yeah,
Right, some of our favourite comments from underneath our videos uploaded over the last week, starting with this underneath Connor trying out cyclocross. There's a bit of a theme, wasn't there?
There was
in the comment
indeed,
section
yeah.
underneath that video. So
Not
quite
many
a
people
couple
impressed
out.
with Connor's
No.
skills.
Andrew McAllister, but Amy is so much fun and a skills boss. More of Amy, please. Whilst Dylan Grant's put more Amy, please. She's a ton of fun on the bike and makes it good to watch. And there are a lot of comments along those lines.
Imagine being a skills boss. And that's skills with a Z as well. Skills boss. Yeah, there we go. No, Amy was fantastic, wasn't it? Wasn't she? Connor, not so much.
No, work to be done, I think.
Work to be done. And he's got to brush up on his technique pretty quickly because he is racing this weekend. So there we go. Also, Isaac Mundy from GmbN is possibly going to race, which could be embarrassing for everyone because he might win the whole thing on a mountain bike. So stay tuned to the Western Cyclocross League, which isn't on GCN Plus. That one, is it?
It's not on that course where I broke my ankle, is it?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
That's a dangerous one.
It was really dangerous. That flat grassy corner was so dangerous. Yeah. Speaking of dangerous, should we have a clip of that cyclocross race? The one from the weekend?
Yeah, let's go for it.
That was quite dangerous, isn't it?
That was a very, very steep off-camber descent, which even the pros were struggling with. Andrew McAllister also got involved in the 7 FTP tests in 7 days video, saying almost more impressive than the 7 FTP tests were the number of sports represented in Hank's shed. Turbo trainer, obviously, but I also saw surfboards, a motorcycle helmet, and climbing gear. Yeah.
Well, I also like the reply to that comment, which was, what's impressive about having hobbies? And I was like, yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, a lot of cyclists don't tend to have hobbies other than cycling.
No.
But that's because it's so great. Why would you need to do anything else? Like a muscle up.
Well, yes, that's my only other hobby at the moment. In fact, it's my only hobby, full stop.
Bodybuilding.
I can't even do one.
Yeah, but you can see the difference.
Oh, thanks, mate.
Like properly, you know.
Just got to put a thicker hoodie on today.
Right, anyway, Randy Pepler said GCN monthly planning meeting. Right, how many ways can we wreck Hank this month? And of course, not being able to look away from train wrecks. We're here for it. Yeah. Seriously, full marks to Hank for having the cojones to take on these super tough challenges. He made it look super tough, but as someone pointed out from here at GCN Towers, I mean, it's like a 20-minute max test.
Yeah, piece of cake, really.
Yeah.
That's what he's complaining about.
Exactly, yeah, he made it look hard. But
underneath build leg strength on the bike, DH7314, but I'd never considered how stronger legs would make you better in a sport that relies on leg strength. I'm sensing some sarcasm within that comment.
Well, yeah, but I'm not sure they tried to say why having stronger legs would help you. But anyway, there we go. To be fair, though, like strong legs, when you look at the kind of person who wins Grand Tours, they don't look like they've got very strong legs.
No, and actually, I didn't do weightlifting for a few years because I'd read that strength was not a limiter to endurance cycling.
Yeah.
Because, somebody's grand might be able to put out 450 watts for a couple of seconds, but not for the 50 minutes required on an alpine climb. And so strength wasn't a limiter. But yeah, people are going the other way now.
They are indeed, yeah. Anyway, under last week's show as well, we had a couple of other great comments. JLH what is that? JL Hinsk, maybe?
Yeah.
The proper question should be, is the route really a gravel route this year? I'd be interested to know what your thoughts are.
We're going to get lots of comments on that, aren't we?
Yep. And then Wens H. Matt Stevens commenting on a cleatless sprint is ironic considering how much trouble he has clipping it.
Very good. Yeah.
I've not seen
I
Matt.
thought about that when I was watching it. I should have done.
Yeah, I've not seen Matt clipping him for a while. He might have got better.
Well, he might be clipped in by now.
Yeah.
You mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
2 years later.
Yeah.
All right, what's coming up on the channel? Well, on Wednesday, so tomorrow, if you're watching this as it comes out, how to carry spares on your bike and a brand new bit of bike tech that we can't tell you about until tomorrow.
No. And then on Thursday, how to recover like a pro here on GCN. And then over on GCN Tech, in addition to the GCN Tech show, there's also some more brand new bike tech that we can't tell you about until Thursday.
On Friday, Cy is going to tell you why his city is shit for cycling, underlining his new grumpy old man status.
Well, this is more a response to what everyone comments on our videos whenever we say, like, cycle to work, ride a cargo bike, do all this stuff. A lot of people say, I can't because my city is shit for cycling. So I'm just going to have a little investigate, see whether cities are shit for cycling or whether there's actually little tricks and tips that we can employ as bicyclists to make it better for ourselves. And then on Saturday, our autumn epic ride, coast to coast, not the famous Pembroke to Great Yarmouth coast to coast, but a different one, off-road, on new bikes that we can't tell you about.
Yeah. Did I make the edit on that one?
There's a cameo, celebrity cameo in that one, yeah.
And on Sunday, we also got easy gears to ride fast on Saturday, but on Sunday, you've already got on Sunday. I must have missed out on that bit.
No, I didn't. Well, we've changed it around.
Oh, have you? Okay. And then there's a brand new bike, once again, that you will have seen earlier on in the week, but a closer look at that coming up on Sunday, I believe, as well.
No.
Oh, okay, well, let's get on to what's going on GCN Plus, shall we? I actually know what's happening on GCN Plus. Got a lot of racing still just at the end of the season. Yeah, first UCI Cyclists World Cup, Waterloo.
Oh, nice.
In the USA.
That's
Only
cool.
one round there this year. Tour of Turkey, like I said, you've got to watch Tuesday's stage if you haven't done so already, but that continues through to Sunday. We have the Giro del Veneto and the Veneto Classic on Thursday.
Is that the gravelly one, Veneto Classic?
Might well be, yes. There's some BMXing for people as well. And the last men's World Tour race of the year, returning after a 3-year absence, the Tour of Huangxi.
Nice.
Over in China, yes.
There we go. Cool. Right. And then also, we, of course, have a cracking new documentary for you. This is the feature-length version of Ollie's Tour de Station Ultimate 1000. You'll remember, you'll have seen it on GCN back in the summer, but this is a completely different cut, basically. So do check it out. It's probably good, that.
Plenty to watch as ever. Once again, medal for anyone that got through to the end of the GCN show. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. See you then.